All right. We made it to marking period 4. Woohoo! Home stretch. Okay. So we're going to start focusing on factoring, which is basically what we've been doing, but backwards. So we were taking, something times something else and distributing it in. Now we're going to get like the final answer and look at what it would look like not not a final answer, what it would have looked like in the first place. It's called factoring. It's kind of like we were multiplying before, and now we're going to start dividing. So what you want to do is look at that original problem and figure you want to pull out a greatest common factor, GCF. Bet you haven't heard that since 6th grade. So you need to think about the number that's the biggest number that goes into both 8 and 56. So 2 does, but that's not the biggest, right? 4 does, but that's not the biggest. The greatest number that goes into both of these is 8. So you're going to basically pull an 8 out, right? But since the leading term is negative, it's good math manners to pull a negative 8 out, right? And then you have to ask yourself sort of, if I were going and distributing and trying to land back here, you have to ask yourself, negative 8 times what is negative 8? And that's a pretty straightforward one. Negative 8 times 1 is negative 8. Then we have to ask ourselves, okay, negative 8 times what brings me to 56x squared? So it's a positive 50x that we're like shooting for, right? So a negative times a negative gives me a positive. And 8 times 7 is 56. And then, of course, the x squared out here on the end. So we have factored this original problem to make it look like this after we break it down, right? And we can double check if we wanted to. We could say, all right, negative 8 times 1 is negative 8. Negative 8 times negative 7 is positive 56x squared. Okay, this looks like that. So this one looks like this one. So we're all good. So that's how it's done. So half the battle is finding the GCF. What's the greatest common factor you can pull? If it's a leading term of negative, pull a negative GCF, and then you just have to figure out what multiplies to get there. Let's try another. Okay, so leading term is negative, so I'm going to pull some kind of negative GCF. And then I have to think about a number that goes into 56 and 35. So, I literally just play around in my head till something clicks, right? 2 is not going to work out because 2 doesn't go into 35. 5's not going to work out. 7 goes into 56 and into 35. So I'm going to pull a negative 7. Then I need to ask myself, 7 times what would give me negative 56n? Well, 7 times 8 is 56. So we want to keep it positive. N, right? Because negative 7 times 8n will bring me to that 56n. Okay. Now, negative 7 times what brings me to a positive 35? So you do have to think about your signs. Negative times a negative is the only way I would end up with a positive. And 7 times what is 35? 7 times 5 is 35. Excuse me, that was gross. And then, of course, you just want to double check. Negative 7 times 8n is definitely negative 56n. Negative 7 times negative 5 is positive 35. We did land back where we began, so we know we're all good. All right, 49 and 70. Right now, 7 is jumping out at me. I know 7 goes into both of those. I'm trying to think if there's a bigger number that goes into both of those, and I'm not seeing it. So, and we only don't even have to worry about signs this time. That's nice because there's no negatives anywhere on here. So 7 times what is 49x squared? Well, 7 times 7 is 49. Of course, you need your x squared. Cool. And then 7 times what is 70? 7 times 10 is 70. And that's it. And you can double check if you want. Okay. Biggest number that goes into 10 and 6. Don't just wait for me. Try to think of it yourself. 2, right? 2 is the biggest number. 2. 2. 2 times what? 2 times what is 10K? 2 times 5 is 10. And of course, you need the K. Okay. And then 2 times what is 6? 2 times 3 is 6. And you can always go ahead and double check and make sure you're all good.